You're not allowed to complain. That's the first rule. Because when you're a Lakers fan, nobody wants to hear about pain. Not with 17 banners hanging above your head. Not with Magic and Kareem in the rafters. Not with Kobe's jersey retired twice. You try to say something about the roster, the coaching, the front office fumbling another deadline, and people roll their eyes. Must be hard with all those championships. They treat your suffering like it's a punchline. Like legacy makes you bulletproof. But that's the trap. The legacy is the weight. You don't root for a team. You root for a standard. Every season is a history exam and you're failing before tip-off. Other fans get to rebuild. You get to explain why you're not winning a title right now. Other fans get patience. You get pressure from ghosts. And when things fall apart, when your team is mid, your defense collapses and the rotations make no sense, you can't even vent. You're a Lakers fan. You're supposed to be grateful. But no one asks what it's like to live inside a museum. And that's the first thing that sucks. You're not allowed to feel bad, even when it does. You don't choose the Lakers. You inherit them. They're passed down like an heirloom. A vintage starter jacket, a dusty VHS of Game 7, a framed picture of Magic no-look passing into eternity. Your uncle won't shut up about the 80s. Your dad tells stories about Shaq like he's Paul Bunyan. Your older cousin still gets emotional talking about 2010. Game 7, Boston, 6 of 24, doesn't matter. He says that one meant more. So when you show up, you don't start at zero. You start with expectation. You grow up hearing the Lakers don't rebuild. They reload. That anything less than a finals appearance is failure. That the purple and gold isn't a color scheme. It's a bloodline. And at first, it's intoxicating. The banners, the history, the confidence. You walk into a room and you're already the favorite. But then you realize what you're really walking into. A shadow that never moves. A pedestal with no room for cracks. A legacy that demands more than belief. It demands results. You watch other fan bases fall in love with scrappy rebuilds, young cores, vibes. You don't get vibes. You get obligation. You root for a franchise that has already seen greatness and now demands it on schedule. You're not watching basketball. You're protecting a myth, a reputation, a dynasty that eats its young, and you're just getting started. The names change. The pressure doesn't. One year it's LeBron. The next, it's Luka. You wake up, and suddenly the jersey hanging in the locker room belongs to a Slovenian wizard with a step back from another dimension and a temper like a flicked match. They trade the future, again. Picks, gone. Prospects, gone. A press release. A photo shoot. A quote about championship culture. And now it's real. Luka Doncic is a Laker. You try to feel excited, you do. Because he's a magician. Because he's 25 with MVP numbers and a flair that sells jerseys. Because you've seen what he can do when he's locked in. But that old anxiety creeps in. You know what happens next. The minutes pile up. The defense slips. The body language sours. One bad game turns into a segment on First Take. A cold streak becomes a referendum on whether he gets it. Because it's never just basketball here. It's legacy cosplay. It's wearing the jersey of giants and being expected to perform like one overnight. Luka drops 38 and 12 in a loss, and people say he's soft. He argues with a ref, and they say he's not built for LA. You want to scream? He's human. But that's not how it works. Here, there are no grace periods, only banners. You didn't just trade for Luka. You handed him the keys to a kingdom that burns kings alive. Every year feels like a new experiment. Different tools. Same problem. You watch the off-season like it's a rehab timeline, hoping, praying, waiting for something that fixes everything. You hear the same words. Length, versatility, two-way upside. You squint at highlight reels from last season, trying to believe that this backup wing from Orlando is gonna fix your spacing. Then the season starts. And it's the same chaos. One guard can't shoot. The shooter can't guard. Your starting center fouls out in 11 minutes. Your defensive-minded wing hasn't boxed out since Thanksgiving. Everyone's learning the system. Everyone's still building chemistry. Everyone's adjusting to the pace. You're 10 games in and already watching fourth quarters with a knot in your chest. You can't keep track of the rotation, not because it's deep, because it's directionless. One week, a G League call-up is closing games. The next, he's stapled to the bench in street clothes. A 2-game win streak becomes a reason to keep the roster intact. One bad loss and half the bench is on the trade block by midnight. It's not a roster. It's a patch job. Pieces that don't fit. Contracts that don't move. Guys who were great 3 teams ago, now expected to guard elite wings on national TV. You watch the Nuggets run a two-man game that looks like art. You watch your team run a handoff that ends in a contested mid-range fadeaway with 4 on the clock. And you wonder if anyone in the building actually knows what this team is supposed to be. You used to be Showtime. Now you're a spreadsheet. One sprained ankle away from starting a guy who hasn't scored in 2 weeks. Other teams lose and get praised for patience. They draft, they develop, they build slowly. They talk about culture and identity and the long game. You don't get that. You go 41-41 and it's a scandal. You miss the playoffs and the entire league points and laughs. You're not rebuilding. You're failing. You draft a promising rookie, he's gone in a year. You develop a young core. They're shipped for a star before they turn 23. You say you believe in growth, but the second a name like Luka hits the rumor mill, the future goes on the first plane out. The Lakers don't rebuild, they reload. That's the brand. That's the curse. You don't get to enjoy 20-point games from rookies or watch a second-year guy figure it out on defense. Because if he's not helping right now, he's trade bait. If he's not polished, packaged, and playoff ready, he's a placeholder. You envy teams that are allowed to suck. You're not. You're not allowed to be average. You're either back in the finals or back in the war room blowing it all up again. No slow climb. Just free fall or fireworks. Crypto.com. Arena still looks like a movie set, but the script is broken. Courtside is packed with rappers, actors, influencers, people who don't know what a 2-3 zone is but know how to clap when Luka hits a fadeaway. Every game feels like a premiere, except you're the one paying for the ticket, and the movie keeps bombing. The noise never stops. ESPN runs 4 Lakers segments on a Tuesday morning in January. Talk shows break down one bad defensive possession like it's the Zapruder film. Skip Bayless tweets, "Luka's not him," after a missed free throw, and suddenly it's trending. You can't just watch basketball. You have to defend your team like a politician at a scandal hearing. You have to know cap space, CBA rules, plus-minus splits, and player body language analysis. And every player hears it. They say they don't. They do. They scroll. They listen. They flinch. One bad night becomes a mental toughness issue. One missed switch, and the fan base is calling for trades. You win a game and the internet says, still mid. You lose a game and it's, fire the coach. Trade everyone. This team has no identity. There's no peace here. Not in the group chats, not in the locker room, not even in your own head. Other teams play basketball. You perform under surveillance. You wanted a star. You got one. A 6'7" point guard with eyes like radar and a handle built in Europe's concrete gyms. A savant, a scorer, a showman. But even Magic wilts under a microscope. And Luka's learning that now. He drops 35 and 11 and still gets asked why he didn't pass on the final possession. He posts a triple-double in a loss and they say he doesn't lead. He yells at a ref and suddenly he's emotional, fragile, not built for the lights. But you see it, the strain. He's used to dragging teams. He's not used to dragging legacies. In Dallas, you could lose and say, we're still building. Here, you lose and they say, you're wasting the jersey. The weight is different. He's not just wearing number 77. He's wearing Magic, Kobe, LeBron, all stitched invisibly across his back. And when the fourth quarter comes and the ball sticks and the floor shrinks, the whole arena leans in. Not to help, but to measure. You can feel it in his body language. The slumped shoulders, the glare, the exhaustion that no stat line captures. He's giving everything, but it's not enough. Because here, enough doesn't exist. You can drop 40 in a loss and still be the headline for why the team fell apart. Luka's not the problem, but he's becoming the next name on the wall. Carved in with hope, surrounded by pressure, backed into a corner. They wanted a savior. You just wanted help. Now you both feel alone. He's not on the court, but he's everywhere. In the rafters, in the chants, in the expectations that never left. You don't watch the Lakers without thinking of Kobe. You can't. Every close game feels like a question. What would he do? You already know the answer. He'd shoot. He'd scream. He'd carry. Now you watch Luka call for a screen and part of you winces. You want to see the fadeaway. You want to see the cold-blooded pull-up over 2 defenders. You want the Mamba moment. But this isn't Kobe. It's never been Kobe, and it never will be. Still, the shadow lingers. You hear it in the crowd after a missed free throw. You hear it in the silence when no one steps up in the fourth. You hear it in your own head. whispering stories of 81, of Game 7 against Boston, of walking off with 60 on tired legs and a stitched-together shoulder. Kobe is gone, but he's the standard. And that standard is impossible. You don't mean to compare, but you do. Everyone does. Even the players, especially the ones who wear the jersey. Because it's not just purple and gold, it's stitched with ghosts. And the loudest one still wears number 24. It starts the same every year. New signings, training camp buzz, videos of guys laughing and shoot around like chemistry alone can win you games. Then the season starts. You win 2. We back, you lose 1. It's early. You lose 3. Panic. Trade rumors. Anonymous sources. Instagram unfollows. Press conference side-eyes. You've seen it before. You know the cycle. The mid-season players-only meeting that leaks 5 minutes after it ends. The trade deadline drama where half the roster packs their bags just in case. The quote from the coach about urgency right before another 18-point collapse on TNT. Then the fake bounce-back win. Luka drops 47 on a Tuesday, and Twitter says, "They figured it out." You believe them. For a night. Then another injury. Then the offense sputters. Then your backup big starts getting cooked by guys who were in the G League last year. And before you know it, you're scoreboard watching the Spurs and rooting for the Jazz to lose. Not for seeding, for survival. This isn't new. This is the wheel. It turns, it breaks, it restarts. Every year. Different faces. Same tension. You refresh Woj like it's medication. You run trade machine sims at 2 a.m. You start learning about the CBA just to make sense of why no one's making a move. You say, trust the process, like it means something. But you know there is no process. There's just pressure. And you live inside it. You watch Denver run the same offense for 3 straight years and win a title with it. You watch the Spurs lose with purpose. You watch OKC stockpile picks like gold bars. You watch the Kings light a damn beam for finishing 3rd in the West. You realize something awful. They know who they are. They build. They wait. They grow. You don't. The Lakers don't build. They collect. Stars, veterans, pressure, headlines. You don't plan for 5 years from now. You plan for 5 games from now and hope nobody gets hurt in the meantime. Other teams make continuity a strategy. You make it a coincidence. Your offseason is a roulette wheel. Your development plan is get hot or get traded. Your scouting report is a mixtape from 2018 and a gut feeling. And when the season goes sideways, there's no young core to lean on. No system to default to. Just Luka and prayers. You watch teams rise because they trusted the slow burn. You realize you've been chasing fireworks. Other teams have plans. You have pressure. And the vague memory of greatness. You swear you're done. Every year. You say it out loud. You text it in the group chat. I'm not watching this garbage anymore. And then tip-off hits, and there you are. Glued to it like it's the playoffs. Because something always pulls you back. Maybe it's Luka. The no-look laser to the corner. The step-back 3 with the shot clock dying. That little smirk after he floats in a 35-footer like it's nothing. Maybe it's the crowd. The hum before the run. The sound of the building rising. The way you can feel it through the screen when the momentum shifts. Maybe it's something else. Something older. You remember how it felt? The lob from Kobe to Shaq. The Artist 3. The confetti. The parade clips burned into your brain like a home movie you weren't in but still remember. And maybe, just maybe, that feeling can happen again. So you show up. You watch the late games. You check the standings. You argue in comment sections with people who haven't watched a quarter. You refresh the app to see if anyone's getting traded. You wear the jersey on bad shooting nights like it'll help. You show up because the Lakers don't just live in the standings, they live in you. It's not about logic. It's not even about winning. It's about chasing that feeling, the one that made you fall in love in the first place. And even if it's been gone for a while, you still believe it's coming back. Not because you lose, but because you're not allowed to. Not because the roster is bad. It's not. Not because Luka's not great. He is. Not even because the team is falling apart. It's because they're falling short of something invisible. You're not competing with the league. You're competing with ghosts. Every game is a courtroom. Every player on trial. The banners above don't clap. They stare. You don't get to enjoy growth. You don't get to appreciate effort. You only get to win or explain why you didn't. You're not a fan base. You're an archive. A museum that still demands more exhibits. You've got highlight reels longer than some franchises' histories. You've got statues out front that move more people than half your starting lineup. And that's the paradox. You're proud of it. but it eats you. It's hard to fall in love with a team when you're always comparing them to a dynasty. Hard to root for a season when you're measuring it against legends. You want to just watch basketball. You want to just believe. But you were raised on rings, raised on greatness, raised to expect it, and nothing less. So you suffer in silence, yell when it's safe, refresh the schedule, hope for health, wait for that run. Tell yourself this year's different. You keep showing up. You keep believing. That's why it sucks to be a Lakers fan. And that's exactly why you never stop.